Hello, Nick family. Welcome to my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Today, I'm joined by I Am Jarrell, Stafford Don, Tony Crow, and at some point, Gavin. And we're going to break down the Knicks power forward and center positions. We're going to talk about Randle. He may be here next year. We're going to talk about Obi. If both of them are here, what's the coaching staff going to do? We'll talk about Mitch. Will he resign? Is Sims ready? If he doesn't, will the Knicks trade for somebody if we don't resign Mitch? We got a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the panel. Hello, guys. How are you?
What up? What up? What up?
I'm
Peace,
good.
Queen.
I'm good. Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about, and at the end, if you want, if we need to double back, we could talk about the point guard position or the wing position. We can double back to that at the end.
Sure.
Just your initial thoughts on the power forward and center position this year, and what you would like to see next year. And that could be as simple as run it back. I am Jarrell. We'll start with you.
Okay. Salute to everybody. Salute to Steph Tones, Steph Dons. Like salute to everybody in the chat. Happy to be here again. For me, I would like Julius Randle gone. I'm not gonna lie. Like he pretty much soured me over this past year, and I wasn't. I think he soured me because I was never really a big fan in the first place of him and his
Mm-hmm.
game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the real reason why he soured me. Like this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I'm kind of done with him, and I don't like the way that Tibbs actually treated him, or I don't know if treated him is the right word. I don't like the way he handled him on the bench
Mm-hmm.
this year. I didn't like that. So for me, I hope we can actually get rid of him and get something. I don't want to trade him for a bag of chips, though. I'm not crazy. I don't think he's like untalented or anything. I think we should at least trade him for as much as we can for the best deal possible, and hopefully we get a point guard back. That's wishful thinking,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. When it comes to Jules, I think I'm out, and I would rather either bring somebody else in that could start or try Obi. But that's depends on who the point guard is too. So that's pretty much my gripe with the power forward position and Julius Randle so far.
Okay. All right. So that's what you want next season. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Staffer, then we'll get to Tone.
Peace to the chat. Peace to the Queen, Jarrell, TC. It's a blessing. As always, much love and respect, Queen.
Sure.
Um, Jarrell, we gonna have to disagree on this one. I
Okay.
mean, I
Okay.
want, I want, I want the big fella back. I mean, I think he could bounce back. I mean, I think every basketball player goes through a season where there's struggle, a little turmoil, and all of that. And I believe he can bounce back. Once you go through something in life, I believe you get lessons out of that, and I believe, but you can forward. But that being said, he has to step up his game this season, and I believe if he don't step up his game, I really truly think we may trade him by the trading deadline,
Mm-hmm.
or in the off season, we definitely get rid of him. I'm like Jarrell. With this point, I agree with you. Where I don't want to get rid of him for a bag of chips. The best deal at hand, I feel we should go ahead and get. Um, and as far as the minutes allocated, I do believe um, Obi is very talented, and I do believe he should get a chance at least 15 to 20 minutes, right? And they share that time. And even who has the hot hand that night, I'm hoping that Tom Thibodeau just rocks with them. Or I hear people talking about the small ball with him and Obi, and Tom is not a defensive guy. I mean, he is a defensive guy. Sorry, excuse me. And
Mm-hmm.
he normally talks about his rim protection, and he looks at his defensive efficiency and his field goals and all of that when he looks at his stats. So we may see it if Randle is here, but I don't think it's going to be a big thing where we're going to see it's a starting lineup. We're going to see a little probably of it. So that's my thing with the power forwards.
All right, Tone, and then Gavin, and then I got a question for Stafford too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Stafford on it. Um, I want him back. I think he will recover from last year. I don't want to give him up for the bag of chips. I think the best option though is if you're gonna move on from him, let it be organically. Don't do it based off of last year. You know what I mean? Don't do it like as an emotional reaction to last year. Give him a chance to recover because at that point, if we're moving him immediately and by any means necessary, then the return is not going to be high at all. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to have, they're not going to feel like they need to give up anything because you want them gone that bad. So wait for a team to actually want them, request them, show some interest. And now the ball's in your court where you can get the most value for him. Um, and then I agree again with that small ball lineup. If you listen to Tibbs' uh interview after the last game they played, he acknowledged that Obi has played a lot better and Obi has earned his spot. Is I think what he said. So I think by him saying that little tidbit, I think Obi's minutes will increase. I think Randall's minutes will decrease. I think his leash, Randall's, will be shorter and Obi's will be extended. And it may not be like a flip flop in minutes or anything, but I think it'll even out a little bit. Um, Obi will get more opportunities to play through mistakes. Randall will get less opportunities to play through mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, so I think a change will come in the rotation this year. Now, if that does not happen, if it's the same exact uh outcome from this past year, as far as Obi getting pulled after every mistake, every miscue, and Randall pretty much could have a full bad half, and the rotation stays the same, then at that point, I'm gonna be with a lot of the fans out there and say Tibbs might be the problem.
I mean, this is what I'll say before I get to Gavin. Randall has earned his longer leash. Like I'm not in a agreement that everybody is going to have the same leash. You know, the other thing is we're not. I'm not sure from looking at the game what the players are supposed to be doing, specifically on the defensive end in terms of their rotations and things like that. I could see lackadaisical play. Don't get me wrong, but if you're energetic, I can't tell if you're not where you're supposed to be, which is O because he's always energetic. So Randall's earned a longer leash. However, it can't be infinite. Like there was just some games in which I just thought you have to hold them accountable because if not, everybody I think players want to play. You hold a player accountable, you sit them down, they feel that. You don't do that, they don't feel it. They feel like it kind of reinforces that it's okay if I want to loaf around certain games. Nothing is going to happen to me. So I don't think I agree with you. Randall's leash can't be infinite, but I don't know if I agree that Obi's leash should be as long. I think he's earned more time.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's earned that though yet.
I don't know. That's what I said. It's not going to be an even split. I don't think so. It's not going to be a flip flop where obviously Obi's getting the minutes Randall got last year and Randall's getting Obi's. It's not going to be that. But what I'm saying is he's going to look at Obi and trust him a little bit more
Yeah, no doubt
moving
about it.
forward.
No doubt
Moving
about it.
forward.
No doubt about it. Gavin, how are you? We just the initial question was just your thoughts on the power forward, and if you want the center position, what you would like to see next year before we get into some specific questions.
Yeah, first salute chat, salute panel. Appreciate you, Steph, for having me on the new channel and everything.
Appreciate you.
For me, I'm kind of torn with this one because for me, it's two things. I can't I can't discount the fact that Julius is a 20 and 10 player. And so I want that production back, but for me, I can't get over just the optics last year, the attitude, the lackadaisical play, not looking engaged, things like that. And part of, like you said, is and Paris Jugger said it in the chat. Obi's or Randall has earned from a production standpoint a longer leash, but I don't think that like he or she said that leash should be extended with attitude, because I just think there was too many times where, all right, yes, he's a 2010 player, but how long are you going to let a dude stay in the game who you can see is not engaged? Who there's times where he's just like, all right, cool, y'all really don't want me to touch the ball, y'all don't want me to shoot the ball, here, take the ball, keep it. And you're playing 5-on-4, and it's affecting the whole team negatively on offense and defense. I said that's why I said for me, Julius has the first game of next year to show me that something has changed for him, because it is hard to replace 20 and 10 production in the NBA, but when it affects the team, and especially when you're playing in the biggest media market of the world, so when we're winning or losing, all eyes are on us. And you're in the age of social media where players say they don't care about social media, they don't pay attention, but they do, and you can see that it gets to them. Um, so for me, I'll take Randall back if a few things. I don't want to see the offense run through him anymore. I think that Tibbs tried that for too long. It didn't work. I either want to see them get a secondary ball handler or a point guard in here, or try something new and let's see if we can run the offense through RJ a little bit more. But I don't want to see Randall having to be a decision maker. I'd rather him be down the low post or in the mid range game and go to work. To me, I just don't like Randall making decisions because I still, to me, don't think that the game has slowed down enough for him to make quick decisions and the right decisions. Um, and I don't want to see Tibbs leaving him out there for 25, 35 minutes when dude is loafing up and down the court. He's like that was the big knock with like Harden a few years ago. You're sitting out here arguing about calls, talking to the ref, while the whole team's getting back on defense. And we saw too many times this year where teams were getting wide open buckets in transition, either after makes or misses, because we're not getting back on D. And more often than not, a lot of the times possession this year, Julius was the last one down the court. So for me, if he's coming back with that same attitude and lackadaisical energy and effort, I'm willing to move on from him.
Wow. So we got some strong takes when we said state your case for people. So basically, Jarrell wants him out. Stafford Don and Tony say keep him. Gavin has some stipulations. I have some stipulations too.
Can I say something real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, absolutely.
But it's just something that Gavin just said that kind of just, bro. Who else besides RJ? Who else is going to be the second option on the team for the offense to go through, bro? Be realistic, bro. Who else are you looking for the offense to go through if it's not RJ or Randall? And I understand your gripe. Like today, me and a brethren was talking about the same Knicks thing, and Randall, when it comes to decision making, he throws the ball in the stands. He does air ball. He gets confused. And I get all of that. But at the same time, bro, you can't say you don't want Tom Thibodeau to run through the offense through him. He's getting paid 117 million, bro. You just think they just gonna run around him like that? I know that's what you want, but it's not gonna happen.
So kind of to that example, like you said, they're paying him 117 million, and I'll make somebody alluded to this the other day on ESPN or NBA.com, something that, so if you look down in Miami, right, they gave Duncan Robinson that big extension, and they are benching him for Max Strauss, who is on a 2-year, $5 million contract, because the level of expectation, the performance that people thought they were getting from Duncan Robinson is not there. And Miami has accepted the fact that, okay, yes, we gave Duncan Robinson all this money, so there's certain expectations. Like, that's why we say Knicks fans look at Julius Randle as the number one, because he's not getting paid NBA number one money, but he's getting paid number one money on this team. But when there's certain things that you're not living up to that, to me, it's more than, okay, yeah, we paid him 117 million. We paid him 117 million, but that return on the 117 million and what we expected is not what we're getting. But I do understand what you're saying. Who else did the offense?
Gavin,
I have a question.
no,
Is it
but
easier?
hold on quick.
Go ahead.
Let me just get to him real quick. As far as Duncan Robinson, right? And you're saying that yes, he's coming off the bench, but did you see his first game in the playoffs? And he's the one that took them to that win.
He did, but now since in these last 4 games, Duncan Robinson has not scored over double digit, has not scored over 10 points, and they have not played him over 15 minutes, specifically because Duncan Robinson is so streaky. Yes, and that's why I say Duncan Robinson will come in, give you one game, and make everybody think that he is him, and he'll go off for 30 very efficiently. And the next game, he's giving you 0 for 8.
But this is the question. Is it easier to sit a Duncan Robinson than it is to sit a Jimmy Butler? Let's just say Jimmy Butler was having a terrible season. They're not sitting Jimmy Butler. He's the number one and number 2 option on the team. Duncan Robinson is number 3. It's easier to do it with a number 3 or a number 4 option than it is with a number 1 or number 2.
He might be number 5.
He might be number 5.
And he's a better comparison for him would be Fournier for our team, because it's a totally different role. But I get what you're saying. But ultimately, I think it falls more on Tibbs than Randle, right? Tibbs has to make the adjustment more than Randle does. Randle's adjustment is going to come off of Tibbs. If Tibbs is cutting his playing time, Randle's going to have to adjust to get the minutes. You understand?
But do you have to cut his playing time? Can you just adjust his role? I just want to ask Gavin a question, too. I'm going to get right back to you. When you say running the offense through Julius, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you and Stafford Don. So are you talking about him being the primary facilitator, or are you talking about even if he's not the facilitator, whoever is a facilitating is featuring him? Like when you say you don't want to see him as the offense run through him, which one are you talking about?
More so that point forward role to where he's bringing the ball up and initiating the offense. To me, that's when I say run the offense with him, I mean from the point forward standpoint where he has to make decisions as far as getting to the offense. Now, if we want to feed him the ball all night in the post and let him go to work, I'm cool with that, because to me, that's just a one-on-one decision where he's having to take off, where he's just having to read his man and his defender.
Correct.
I don't want him trying to read the whole floor and seeing somebody come off a screen, seeing somebody's defender sag and things like that. I don't think mentally he's at that level to be the point forward of today's NBA game.
I would agree with that. I've said that many times. Go ahead, Steph.
But it's going to have some times where they're going to rebound just fast break, and he's going to bring up the ball. So you understand what I'm saying? So that's going to happen. That's going to happen sometimes.
But I'm talking about when we're after a made basket and we're just bringing the fall up in a set and we're playing
set play. Offense. I got you. And I agree with you. We do need a floor general. I agree with you.
Our point guard is the one who actually inbound the ball.
Right.
I don't know if y'all notice. Every time.
That's letting you know.
That's letting you know right there what Tibbs is doing. Right there.
Right. But I mean, the other thing go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just gonna say again, it's a Tibbs, it's an adjustment Tibbs has to make, and it has to do with the personnel as well, because we have we need the point guard that can initiate the offense, so Randle doesn't have to. You know what I mean? So RJ doesn't have to be honest, because I prefer neither one of them are running the offense for the entire game. Now, I love the fact that they have the ability to, but I prefer them to be used in stretches at times I think they both, RJ and Randall, can both thrive in that more so than splitting the duties of running the team. And when I say that, I mean exactly what Gavin's saying. Bring the ball up, initiate an offense, the primary decision maker. That should be the point guard. And we don't have that guy. I mean, we had Rose, but he doesn't want to start. You know what I mean? So that
Right.
kind of that sets the whole thing off from the beginning of the game.
Okay. I have two questions about the power forward position. If Randall is back, what's the best way to address him and Obi playing together? Because keep in mind, even if you play Randall 30,
Mm-hmm.
that still only leaves 18. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to, I can't imagine Randall getting less than 30 minutes. I don't even, he's not going to even get 30. Like, that's even too low.
Right.
But even if he was, that only leaves 18, right? So if Obi's earned more time, and we've talked about this numerous times, we have to figure out how to get him, how to get him more minutes. And then, well, I'll save the second. Let's just. What would you do? You're the coach of the Knicks. Both of them are back. You weren't able to trade Randall. Randall. You believe Obi has earned more time. How are you addressing that, Jarrell?
How I address it. Much as I don't want to, Obi will have to play the five a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't know how that happens really. He can't play the three for me. He would have to play the five in the small ball lineup. Do I think Tibbs is going to do that more? I don't know. It all depends on Obi because I mean he's still young, off season. Hopefully he will get a little better at what Tibbs wants in that five position. I don't think so personally because unless he gains like 15 pounds of muscle, I don't think Obi is going to change anything about his game. So for me, it would be the small ball lineup, small ball five, but it's just tricky how you do that and how many times you do that during the game.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. I think we're talking what, 5 minutes, six
Right,
minutes, 7 minutes a game. I don't think
right,
we're talking about starting them that way. I don't think we're talking
right,
about
No.
extended minutes.
right,
I'm not even
exactly.
sure if he does it twice during the game in different pockets. But that would be.
Yeah.
Listen, I've seen teams do it for 5 minutes in the first half, 5 minutes in the second half. You know,
I mean,
is that
that's ten
some?
more, that's 10 more minutes for Obi, but
It's
yeah,
just a regular part of their rotation. It has nothing to do with what the other team is doing. This is what we do, and you're going to have to react to us. Yes, we're
okay,
going to give up something on the boards. Yes, we're going to give up some rim protection. But what we're going to gain in transition, what we're going to gain in terms of playing fast, is going to be a net positive. And I think that's something that you have to kind of commit to,
right.
and I think that's going to be difficult for Tibbs. But let's see. Um, Staffer, how are you addressing that? If Randall is here, and yeah, how are you addressing it?
Well, I mean, as I said earlier before, I'm going with Obi at least. I said 15 to 20 minutes. You said 18 minutes is it's more is the that's left, and Obi will get 30. I mean, Randall will get 30. I'm going with the flow of the game. I'm seeing who has the niche, right? If it's a night for Randall and Randall is doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm going with the hot hand. If Randall's having a bad night and Obi comes in with that energy and he's running and he's getting everything, I'm I'm, I'm sitting Randall down and I'm going with Obi until he needs a breather, and then I'm putting back Randall a game, see how he does. If he steps up his game and start balling and say, okay, we do the small ball thing and we put Obi and him in there, as we was talking offline, I think Tibbs is more of a defensive guy he's more studies about his rim protection. So maybe 5 minutes here and there according to how the game is, or if there's a matchup where Randall could bully the center, probably the same height, or he's probably a novice or a rookie or whatever, starting at center, and Randall could take him, and it's a matchup that we could eat, and Obi could run. Yeah, I might do it 5 minutes in this quarter and 5 minutes the next quarter, and probably run with it, because I'm looking at Golden State, and they run Poole, Thompson, and Curry, and I think they run Draymond, and then they run real small. So, and then they've been killing people with that lineup. So I mean, if it could work at certain points in time in the season in certain games, I'm going with it, and that's how I'm gonna address it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Golden State, though, you're talking about high IQ players with a smooth running system, and I don't know if we.
Yeah, but no, we wasn't talking about IQ. We was talking about small ball. That was that was just my point on that. Yeah, I know some of the guys on the team have low IQ. I get it.
Yeah, I mean their feel. I like to say feel for the game.
Right.
Right.
It's not that great.
In a perfect world, like Julius Randle would be our Draymond Green, and he will play the 5.
Right.
But he won't.
Right.
He's not going to do that. That's
right.
No, well, I mean, sometimes you might have to have you don't have a choice if the coach puts you in there. You go in there and you play, bro. You know what I'm saying? And this is me coming from, if I was the coach, you go in there and you play. If I put you in there and it's a matchup, I know that you could eat and you could feed off of. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to show and prove, bro, because listen, you do not want to come into Madison Square Garden every day getting booed, bro.
Yep.
Let me just say that again. You do not want to come in Madison Square Garden and getting booed every day.
Right.
All right, Julius, I'm telling you now, bro.
Well, he already know.
Somebody need to clip that.
He already know. Shout out to Scott Powers. The big question for this offseason is Obi getting minutes, and with Randall still here, I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will too, but I want to say this about Obi, and I hope people don't take this negatively. When you look at Obi's stats, he's very good around the rim, but his mid-range and his three-point shooting is the bottom percentile for his position.
True.
Is it the bottom percentile for his position? So I think we still need to develop him. I still think we need to put him in spots in which he can be successful. But I think if you put him out there and you expecting him, and you're playing this half-court offense, that's not going to be successful for him. Or you're putting him in there with a point guard that doesn't push the ball, that's not going to be successful for him unless over the summer that three ball is up to 35-36%. He's putting the ball on the floor, getting to the basket, able to create his own shot. Other than that, our offense needs to be faster. There needs to be more ball movement so that he can be successful. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough go for him unless there's major changes in his games over the summer. But Gavin, how would you address it if
you skip
Paris
me?
Duggar is not true? His resume tells you different. His resume doesn't tell us different. I dug into. I don't like to go into this because people think you hating. I'm not hating on Obi. I'm trying to figure out what can we do to make him successful. We need to run. We need to get out in transition. We need to have a point guard that can get in the lane, hit him for those alley-oops. I'm not sure how successful he's going to be in a half-court game. Remember, when he had his best game, Randall nor RJ was there. RJ might have been there. Him and Obi, him and IQ were the main guys. In a slower offense, I'm not so sure. So the stats tell the story where he's great at and where he needs to and where he needs to improve. And if we don't create an offense that takes advantage of his strengths, he's not going to look good. So that's something that we have to do. Gavin?
Tone, you want to go? Since you felt like you got skipped.
Nah, go
Well,
ahead, bro.
he
I
looking real
close it. I
busy or
close it.
something.
Um, my thing is kind of on the same lines of staff as I'm kind of playing it, by what I see on the court, how the game's going. Like I said, if and it kind of a testament to this year. Last year Randle was playing, damn near 40 minutes and looking like he could get through it fine. This year he's basically playing the same amount of minutes. I think maybe average like 3 or 4 less, but he's now getting after 3 to 5 minutes, he's looking gassed. And we weren't seeing that a lot last year. So I think one thing is, I mean, if that's the case, I don't know if it was something where he just came in out of shape and never fully got into playing shape. But if that's the case, I'm not leaving, Randall in there to play the whole first quarter, and then, the first 10 minutes of the second quarter. But to your point, Steph, Obi thrives when he's running with somebody like IQ who likes to run and gun. So to me, I think that's unfortunately that's going to have to be Obi's going to have to get in where he where he fits in. When they bring in that second unit or when they bring in IQ is when kind of you can bring in Obi because, like I said, you don't want to put him in just to get him minutes if it's not going to put him in the best position to succeed as a player, which will in turn not put us in the best position to succeed as a team. To another point, the trend of the NBA has started to get to now is basketball lineups have become more positionless. So I don't necessarily see just because they have Randall listed as a power forward or just because Obi's listed as the power forward doesn't mean that he has to come in and play the power forward. You can slide him up to the three, where if you need to, or vice versa. I think it's more so about exploiting the matchups that you have in front of them. So, you may have a lineup one night where, you can put Randall at the three and you can put Obi at the four and you slide RJ up to the two. And I think because the NBA has become such a positionless game and you're seeing more a wing dominant ball game, I think that a lot of these positions are interchangeable. But at least for Obi's sake, I just think for right now, he's just going to have to be with the unit that likes to run and gun because that's the best position that, that's when he succeeds best. And to me, that's kind of opposite as Randall. I don't think that Randall, at least to me, it didn't look like he thrived as much this year when he's running with IQ and those guys are getting up and down the court. So I think it's more so about just exploiting the matchups that we have in front of us that night. And then for Joyce's standpoint, if I see him, same stuff as this year, not giving effort, continually, continuously arguing, questioning if he wants to shoot the ball. He misses a couple shots and now he stops shooting. I'm going to give him a break because, like Staff said, you don't want to come in and play in front of fans every single night where you're just getting booed and hated on because as a player that destroys your confidence. So let me give you a break. Let me give you a second to get your mind together. Let's go ahead and get Obi in. But now if Obi has the hot hand, there's no reason to take him out. And I think that's what Tibbs did a lot this year. Somebody will have the hot hand and we go away from him, and so I think it's I guess it all comes back to a lot of it on Tibbs and his rotation, and his in-game adjustments and decision making as far as matchups.
Yeah, I mean about Randall playing the three, we talked about this last night on the Queen's Court. Like Randall at three, Obi at four, Mitch at five, so that you still have that rebounding and that rim protection. I don't think Obi can play the three because I just don't think Obi has that lateral quickness and his footwork to be able to guard out in space. I think Randall has the ability and the footwork, but the effort and the energy and to stay engaged, you know, for I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, however long. I mean, that's the issue with him. It's not about his abilities, just being able to stay engaged on the defensive end. But Randall at the three, I have problems offensively. He's not a good 3-point shooter other than last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm losing faith in his mid-range game as well. I'm losing faith in the mid-range game. So, and we like to stick it, playing the post, playing the post. I think he hit 60% of his shots at the rim, which is really not great for his position as well. So, but he's getting his points from somewhere, right? So they got to figure out where on the court it is, and to kind of maximize it so that he can be more efficient. But I think Randle being here, both Randle and Obi being here, is going to create a challenge for the coaching staff that they're going to have to figure out. But this is another question I have about that position, and then we'll talk about the center position. And we've talked about this before. They move Randle, but they don't move him for a power forward. They move him for another position. You know, to me, it's not just Obi versus Randle. If Randle is not here, then it has to be Obi. There's Randle, there's Obi, and there are other options at that power forward position as well. It doesn't have to be Obi. So I think if Randle is gone, Obi can start, depending on how this roster is constructed and what we're trying to do. You know,
Right.
if you have if the rest of your positions are strong and you're not counting on Obi to create his own shot, he's playing in a prescribed role, he can do very well in that role. So Stafford, to your point, this is one of my modified views on whether Obi can start. We was talking about this before the show. This is one of my modified views on whether Obi can start. I just don't think he's ready to be that guy, number one, number two, where you're counting on. But if you have those other guys there, I think he definitely can.
Right.
How confident are you that if we move on from Randle and we start Obi, that this team will take a step in the right direction? How confident are you that we'll take a step up? It doesn't necessarily mean it could be the playoffs or not, but just that you think that we're going to be a better team.
My confidence with that will be like, who's our point guard? I think that would be the number one question in everything. Once we find out who our point guard is, that's who I would. I have a better, clear understanding of who I want my power forward to be. Obviously, I don't. Whether Randall's here or not, Obi's not going to start over Randall if he's still here. So if he's gone and he is starting, if IQ isn't the point guard to go along with him, we have to bring in another point guard in order to play Obi at the four. If he's going
And
to
what
get
type
started,
of point guard you think would work best for Obi?
somebody that will actually look for him, like a facilitator. I'm not exactly sure. Like we might get Jalen Brunson. If Jalen Brunson is the point guard, I'm still not totally convinced that Obi will still get the ball where he's supposed to get it because
Right.
he's not that type of point guard.
Right.
So it all depends on who we bringing in here and who's going to run the show, because it's not going to be Randall. If he
Right.
give it to IQ, I think he's fine. But that's all on Tibbs. Is he going to give IQ the keys? But if he's not going to give IQ the keys, then I have no idea what OB's ceiling is next year or going forward until we do that.
Yeah. This is where I would like a Colin Sexton. Now, I don't know if he's available. I don't know where he is off the injury, but
Hmm.
I'm thinking if Randall is here, if RJ is here, you got so much ball dominance right now. Do you need another ball dominant point guard? However, if Randall is not here
Hmm.
and Obi is in that starting lineup, then I think you can have another ball dominant um guy, whether that's IQ, whether that's
Yeah.
Sexton and RJ, and then Obi being able to play off of them.
So how
No,
does if he are we playing exactly the same way? Like if Obi going to be stuck in the corner, and if Colin Sexton has the ball, I get what you're saying, because it is basically like having IQ playing the point guard. It's the same thing. I get it.
is Obi stuck in the corner? Like, where else would you like to see him given his skill set?
Yeah, it would have to be in the corner unless he.
Like, do you want to see him
Yeah,
on the
that's what I'm
wing?
saying. I'm
Do you
not
want to?
saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that like it's Obi's fault that he's in the corner, because pretty much that's the only thing he could do. He doesn't have a mid range game. He doesn't have a post game, so he has to stay out there. hit the three. If he can't hit the three, he got to drive to the basket.
Right. Now, maybe now they do get him on the backdoor cuts for alley oops. He can do that. I wonder if he can operate in the foul line extended. Like, does he have that short mid range shot? No. Okay.
Like you can't even give Obi in a pick and roll because he can't even do picks. He can't even
his
set
pro.
picks correctly.
I think he's shown a lot towards the end of the year. I think he figured out that the 3-point shot is vital to his success. It looked like he was set up to fail initially. It was, hence why is Obi just sitting in the corner? But I had said it a few months ago. If he ever could just turn that 3-point shot around, I think that just opens up his entire game. He has the ability to do things if he's a threat at the 3-point line,
Right.
and he showed that towards the tail end of the season. So I'm confident in him. I really believe that Tibbs is looking at Obi differently now, based off of what he's shown in the tail end of the season. And just to dip back into the Randle Obi playing together. I think Tibbs is gonna try it. I think he's gonna try it. He already tried it before, but I think he's gonna try it again. But it's really gonna be based off of the success. Like, I don't know how often he's gonna try it. It's gonna be up to them to like kind of come up with a win or have a
Make it work.
plus and a plus minus when they get that opportunity for Tibbs to say, all right, you guys, it worked. Let me try it again. But if it's unsuccessful immediately, then it's going to become a problem where I don't think Tibbs wants to go back to it. Because he acknowledged it. He said, all right, if I do that, we're saying we're going to outscore teams. You know what I mean? So he acknowledged that if I do this, it's not going to be about defense per se. It's really going to be about we got to outscore these guys, outscore the other team. So I think he will try it. I don't think he's going to lean on it unless it's successful immediately, and then you may see it become a staple in the rotation. But all it really has to be is 2 to 3 minutes a quarter, right? 2 to 3 minutes a quarter, and so it's just tweaking his rotation really. If you're leaving Randle in, go ahead and still bring Obi in. With 2 minutes left. Second quarter starts, Randle's on the bench, etc. And then that gives Obi those extra minutes. It's only 2 minutes where they're playing together. And then another thing I really would like to see is Obi and Quickly coming in simultaneously. Like let those Obi succeeds the most with IQ. That's a fact. Bring them in together. Bring them in together as a duo every time. You know what I mean? If you're trying to get Obi successful. And then last thing, Brunson, I do agree that I think Brunson is better with Randle. Like in that starting unit with Randle.
Right.
And if that's the case, it would be great because now it could be first unit, second unit, where IQ and Obi are just playing together in that second unit all the time, and he can thrive with IQ. I think Brunson would be great for Randle. He's strong enough minded to where he's not gonna defer. You know what I mean? He's gonna give Randle the ball and say, "All right, it's your turn," but he's not gonna. It's not gonna be every trip up. Feed Randle here. You figure out how to facilitate or initiate the offense. So
Yeah.
I agree with him.
Tone, quick question, real quick.
Mhm.
You said that IQ and Obi should play together, right? So if we do get rid of Julius Randle and start Obi, are you cool with IQ starting going forward?
I already wanted IQ starting.
Okay, cool.
Like
Okay.
if we not getting Brunson, I much rather just start IQ next
Okay.
year. Either way,
I agree. I agree with that.
I mean, one of the questions is can Obi and Randle play together and be successful? Because when you think about their styles of play, you know, you got both of them in. One is a slow it down, methodical type, hold the ball player, and the other one is a run and gun, let's get out in transition type player. That's
Yeah,
you know,
that's the question. Like when you asked me the question, you asked me
mhm,
what I would do.
mhm.
You didn't ask me if I thought that would be successful. I do not think they can play together for a long period of time. Oh hell no, no, no,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how would that look?
no.
I think, you know, if you do something like early transition, where you know Obi gets out quick, we're gonna see if we can hit him first. Then if we can't, then we're gonna set up. You got Randall in the post. You got Art. Obi out. Foul. Baseline extended. Maybe.
See,
Maybe.
and that's kind of my whole thing was. So I mean, going on the basis, because I think the original question was, what if Randall's not back, right? So to answer that first, one, I guess Obi would have no choice but to start. But then my concern is
If
too.
they don't bring in somebody else.
Exactly. My concern with not bringing in somebody else is who's coming in at that position off the bench. Because now, like, the bench unit's not intact at that position, and but as far as like what you were just saying, so if to me, if Obi starts, you almost have to have IQ starting because he that just puts him in the best position to succeed, and they complement each other. To me, I don't really see, kind of to your point, Steph, the Randall and Obi situation working together because you have two different types of players, and I think also IQ fits kind of more comparable with the Obi type of play. So it's like you have two guys on offense who are running gun, one who's holding the ball, and I think that puts Obi at a disadvantage, but I also think that puts IQ at a disadvantage too. And to me, that just doesn't work. But I mean, if we're not bringing in a power forward, I mean, Obi has no choice but to start. But then I guess, like I said, who's coming off the bench at that position, and that's kind of what would worry me because
Yeah.
Obi's
It
not
would have
going
to
out
be a
there to
veteran, I would think,
right.
because you would want somebody. I mean, if you're moving on from Randall and depending on what you do with the other positions, maybe you bring in a veteran so Obi can play 30, 35 minutes, and that veteran is just playing 12,
It's gonna be Taj.
14, 14. Right? Maybe
You
it's
was reading
Taj.
my mind. You was reading my mind,
20
Big
Jarrell.
minutes a
Taj,
game.
man. I'm telling you.
But let me just say this, and then I'll get to you, Tone. If for whatever reason we were able to get an 8 in that center, you were able to get a Brunson at the 1, you got RJ at the 2, Obi would fit beautifully in
Yeah,
that type of
yeah.
lineup because Aiton is playing near the basket. But see, Obi would have to have that 3-point down because he would basically be a stretch. Um
And
a stretch 4. So he would need to have that down. I'm
The
really
ability
interested
to
to see
shoot.
what he adds to his game over the summer, because that's going to have a lot to do with how the Knicks use him and the different lineups he can fit into.
Well, well, Queen,
Yeah.
the funny thing about Aiton is I don't even know if Obi would have to be the stretch because Aiton can
And
shoot.
that's true.
Yeah, he can shoot.
His mid range is deadly, you know what I
That's
mean, and
true.
his 3-point is decent. So so he's
And
a threat,
and he
you
a
know what I
better
Yeah,
mean.
rebounder
they
than
could
shooter.
work off each other. They could work off each
So
other. I feel
yeah, I
you. I
think
feel you.
I just want. Oh, there you go. I wanted to let you know I
No,
sent
of
the link.
course.
I'm with
Anytime.
I'm with Shea Powers. Go get Melo. Bring him back to the Garden.
Oh,
Oh man, you just boy, don't you triggering somebody
Let me
right
tell you
now. You
something.
don't want to trigger that.
Tibbs ain't gonna let Melo play behind Obi. I'm gonna tell you right now.
no, not with that defense. No, no.
Carmelo right now,
Obi, I
it,
mean,
with 25 minutes, can drop about 16 a game. You know what I mean? And you know how Tibbs
yeah,
is with his bets. Like, oh, let's start Carmelo at
yeah, Melo
37
is,
years old
yeah,
and
he's
have
starting.
Obi coming by. The fan base would go bananas.
Right.
Yeah. So shout out to Sam. Appreciate you
Going on,
joining
man?
us.
What's going
Yeah,
on?
we
Salute
Salute
to
to
the
we
him.
haven't even
general.
got to the
Salute to the
center yet.
general.
we still talking power forwards. Anything you wanna add?
I'm just talking power forwards. Like
Yeah, whether
exactly what? Like
we was talking I was asking, who wants to keep Randall, who wants him gone. The same thing about them playing together, like we've talked about, in the past at either the 3 and 4 or the 4 and 5.
right.
And then, if we moved on from Randall, is Obi the only option? Or do you bring in another power forward and then let Obi, my new word, marinate a little bit at that position and until he's about ready? Because I still think he needs to add a little bit more to his game. But anyway, any thoughts on that or anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I agree. I think Obi still does need to marinate a little bit. You know, really get the defense down. I know if you look towards the end of the season when Randall wasn't playing, and I'm not saying it's just due to Randall, but
Mhm.
I just feel like the defensive communication with Obi wasn't the same. I seen a lot more guys getting dunks at the rim, right? Those last 5 games, even though the Knicks were winning, I still seen a lot more guys getting dunks at the rim, and I think part of it was due to Obi and RJ's communication on the screen and rolls, help side defense and things like that. So I think there's some areas that he needs to work on when it comes to that. And another year coming off the bench, I think could help him out. I'm a big proponent of, and I've actually been criticized for it from parents, but I always felt that it worked. If I had a player that is trying to fight his way into getting playing time, right? I would take that player out when they're doing well. I wouldn't wait until that player starts doing bad before I took him out, right? The reason why I would take him out when they're doing well is because I take him out the game when they're when they're really feeling confident about themselves. Like when you have a player whose confidence is wavering, so so to speak, and that's part of the reason why they're not getting playing time. So I would take them out when their confidence is still high, and they might be mad, coach, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but me
I
as a
was gonna
coach, I
ask
kind
that.
of know that like sooner or later they're gonna fall off, and then I take them out when they made a couple of turnovers or did something bad, and so I would rather than be mad at me, but their confidence be high, right, and then hopefully they can go longer and longer stretches, right, because they feel like I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Coach took me out when I was playing well, and even though that's a microcosm of a game, with Obi, I still feel like it's kind of that same thing. He ended the season playing well. If he still comes off the bench, he's going to be feeling confident that I can do it. I can get out here and really, I can start. I can give you 18 a game consistently. And he may, I feel like it gives him
18
that
minutes.
drive, 18
Minutes a
points.
point.
Points.
And,
Oh, okay,
and
okay,
he might feel that way, right? He
okay.
might be feeling that way because
Mhm.
of the way he played at the end of the season.
Right.
So to me, I feel like it helps to grow the confidence because like you're taking him, you're putting him back on the bench after he had that stretch of games, and he feels confident about himself, and he might be a little bit upset, but then you you stretch out the minutes, you give him more minutes, you give him more minutes, and let him continuously prove himself. You know what I mean? And then eventually you'd be like, okay, there you go, you proved it, you did it, it's yours. And that's kind of the same way I would do with players. uh I might take, they might feel like they're getting jerked around a little bit, and I would just be like, just trust me, just keep going. You're gonna get there, and then eventually you see that they can go longer and longer and longer without making, big mistakes, because their confidence is higher, and so I still think Obi, I know he played that well then, he probably still has some, confidence things, so I would like to see him still come off the bench, what I mean, and continue to learn how to play the game. My fear would be, you just throw it out there and you start on. You can't snatch it and take it away now. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
feel
no
like
doubt.
once you give him that spot, you can't take it away. So you need to really be sure that he's going to be able to get it, because you got to let him rock with it for a little while, or else then you really, really crush the confidence. You know what I mean? if he
And
starts.
not just them, not just that, Sim, the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, there was a time in the season, I think when Randle went out with COVID, Obi came in. People was I don't know what they were expecting, but it didn't happen. And the next thing you know, you're hearing trade Obi. There was trade Obi tweets. So this fan base can turn on the drop of a dime.
Quick.
And I don't know if Obi, I don't know if he'll be able to handle it. He might, but I'm not sure. If he will depending on how venomous the crowd
Right.
gets if he doesn't play well.
I think Obi can handle it. He from Brooklyn, man. He know how we are. I'm
See,
just
but
saying. He know
See,
how
but
we
that
are.
was going to be one of the things for me is the young
He is soft
players,
Mhm.
is the young players as a whole, is the fans want them to be thrown into the fire. But when you're playing in the Garden, the biggest media market of the world, and you see how fans will crown you one day and crucify you the next, for young players is when they're first getting into the league. Yeah, you may want to see them on the floor, but if you put them out there and they burn up, like for young players, it's hard to restore that confidence. And you don't like MSG is not the place to do that for a young player.
I mean, yeah.
Hey,
He hang his head when Tibbs yell at him.
But
You
two,
know what I mean?
two things. Let's not act like Obi didn't go through it his rookie year. You know what I mean? I'm sure
Yeah,
the fan
that's
base
true.
was not
I was
happy
gonna
with
say
him.
that too.
It wasn't
That's
a lot
true.
of us that
Yeah.
was
I was
still
gonna say that
pushing
too.
for him, and
I
I'm
don't know
sure
if
he
they-
heard
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I don't know if they booed him in the I don't think they
No,
booed
no,
him.
no, no. I'm just talking about the outside noise,
Yeah,
not
I'm sure he did.
necessarily at the Garden, but then also he got to witness it firsthand with what Randall went through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So between those two things, I think it's going to be a more of a natural. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he'll be able to deal with it based
Yeah.
off of those two situations.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would be able to deal with it, but still, when it's you that has that, you're the starter now, and his
Right.
eyes are really on you. Could be a little bit different. I mean, I think he's going to get more of a grace period though, because
Really?
he was drafted. He was
Right.
drafted. I'm talking about with the fans. I'm
Oh,
with the fans.
okay.
I'm talking about with
Right,
the fans. I think he gets more of a grace period with the fans because he was drafted. His hometown. You know what I mean?
Only thing with that, like the whole marinating thing, I'm cool with that. Obi, he ain't he like 25. That steak should be done. Like, like I understand marinate for a little bit. Like next year is his third year, right? Like after next year,
Right. I agree.
after next year, that steak need to be done, or we need to ship it off. Like,
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I mean,
or
listen,
throw it in the trash or
fans
something.
already turned down Jalen Brunson. He ain't even a Knick yet.
Right.
People are already like,
He beat the Jazz and everybody on him.
yeah, people are already like, oh man, y'all just want him because he's playing good now. I'm like, you ignored all the people way before the season started that was
Right.
wanted him. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Before we move on to the center position, what would you like to see from Obi coming into next season that you think would really help his game, round out his game, but also help the Knicks and make it easier for Tibbs to play him more?
For me, it's just weight room and understanding how to play defense. Because for the most part, to me, Obi just looks lost on defense. On offense, I think he's fine. And plus, it depends on who the point guard is, like I said earlier. But for me, he just needs to get stronger and understand defensive concepts better because he looks lost out there sometimes.
Okay.
Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Tone?
Yeah, same thing. Defense, and again, just solidify that 3-point shot. If you could be you could be in that 35 range. I think that's enough to where teams gotta respect the shot, and that's gonna just open up your offensive game. And then I think Tibbs, if he could do again, like maybe 2 minutes a game, just run a zone, help him kind of learn some easier defensive aspects in the zone where he's not a liability. That might help his confidence because he gives effort on defense. We don't worry about that. We've seen him block a couple shots here and there, So he has the ability. You know what I mean? It's really about honing in that just honing in and figuring out a niche. You know what I mean? Don't foul and don't give up anything easy. And I think that'll keep you on the floor long enough to where you're not a liability.
This is my concern. And I just saw this coming out of college. Coming out of college now, he going into his third year. What was his weaknesses?
Same thing.
Getting lost on defense.
That's what I'm saying. The steak is done.
Defensive IQ.
The steak should be
You know
done.
what I mean? That was the weakness coming out of college.
Right.
You know, so
He's definitely medium well right now.
yeah.
Like,
Let's
should
see what
almost
happened. Stafford, then Sim, then Gavin.
Well, definitely what the guy said. Defense, solidify the 3-point shot. He has to come back with a mid-range jumper. He have to at least get that down pat. If he could also develop a post move. I think we've seen it once or twice, right? So if he could develop that some more, I think we could when the game slows down, we could go to him and we could know he could, put up that post move in on the block. So I believe if he could do all those things, solidify that jump shot, it opens up his game. That way he could do a post up. He could do a jump shot. Just an all round player. So those are the things that I think he needs to work on most of. Come back for this season.
Shout out to Paris Duggar, Obi's uncle. He
I
said,
was just about to say he's a heavy Obi supporter. I was just about to say.
He said, Queen, he's head and shoulders above RJ Barrett by next January.
Smoking.
That's a big way.
Hey, let's just say this. I hope he's right. I mean, we are Knicks fans, so if Obi is that good,
that's right.
What was the last part he said? Tibbs what?
Tibbs doesn't yell at him anymore.
When Tibbs yelled at him the last game of the season, and he started. No, that's wrong. Tibbs definitely still yell at him. He yelled at him during
breaking news. Breaking news. Ben Simmons is available for the Nets next game.
What?
Okay. Yeah, he might be back when season starts.
Hiccup.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Sim, then Gavin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with basically the same thing that everybody said. Playing defense, working on that mid-range jump shot. Working on his footwork, continuing to build that footwork. You know what I mean? So that he can have. I think that's a big part of his offense. Lack of offense or one-on-one game is the footwork. So he's got to continue to work on different types of footwork. Just become lighter on his feet. He has a great touch around the rim. I actually feel like he's the best finisher on the team. You know what I mean? I think he can finish at the rim in a multitude of ways, not just dunking it. He has a really nice touch. If he can get the footwork down, you know what I mean, that can really expand his offensive game. So, yeah, studying film so that he can learn those rotations right, and then working on that footwork so he can build that offensive game.
Does the mid range have to be like a threat before the jab step works?
I think the drive has to be a threat before the jab step works. You know what I'm saying? Because you take that jab step because they feel like you're going to drive to the basket. Then they slide that way or back up or whatever. Now you got room to go the opposite way or pull up. You know what I mean?
I was just thinking I would love to see him, work with Melo on that. But then I'm like, well, what's he going to do after he does the jab?
But like Sim said, the footwork. I mean, that's what makes Melo deadly is his his shot, of course, but his footwork. And that's a good point, Sam. If he don't if he don't do nothing else,
footwork, yeah.
and he works on his footwork, that's going to
What?
open up.
Oh, sorry.
I think so.
It
I
opens
think
up
it's
a
going to
lot.
help him offensively, and it's going to help him defensively.
It
Yeah.
would, both.
Yep.
Both. Gavin.
My biggest thing was kind of what Sim said was the footwork. Was that for me? And to me, that goes along with the mid range and just getting to the basket. And with that footwork and driving to the basket, I like to see him, improve on his ability to shoot off a dribble. Being at 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", and having the spring in his legs that he does, it's a big advantage to be able to shoot over people, and he can get up there. So, for me, it's the footwork and driving downhill more, and continuing to finish around the rim.
Yeah.
People,
I mean, I'm not sure how
don't
much
know.
he could. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I was gonna say people don't know how much that footwork really means. If you watch that game where Jason Tatum hit the game winner, that was all about footwork.
That was
Spin
footwork.
move, yeah.
Yes, it
All
was.
He
Right.
caught it. He understood where the guy was, where his defender was, and was able to spin. Boom, boom. Nice footwork. Lady, the footwork creates so many opportunities for you.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
And Sam,
Well, I do think
What about
his
Brunson's
footwork down
footwork?
low is good.
what happened?
No, I was saying I do think Obi's footwork down low is pretty good, and to Sim's credit, I think that's why that helps him why he's such a great finisher, because it's footwork down low, and also the way he could contort his body, his body movement in the air.
Mm-hmm.
The body control is
The body control
elite.
is good.
Yeah,
His
great
finishing is
body
elite.
control. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just say this real quick, Staffer. Brunson's footwork, the up and unders, the way
Yeah.
he's able to operate in the lane, his footwork is how he's able to get off a
Yep.
lot of those shots.
Yep.
Yep.
You're right. Because he's not athletic at all.
Exactly.
Mm-mm.
Not, but that footwork.
Yeah.
Just like his dad. To be honest, we want to keep it real. I'm old. See, I remember his dad.
his dad too.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt.
Just like his dad.
Staffer.
So so I was reading a comment in the chat. That's why I laughed. So my apologies for that. But the question is for the panel: can Obi shoot 38% from three for the season? Because if he does that, Paris Douglas says he's going to give up his house. So everybody, make sure you check that receipt.
Hold on.
If Obi shoots 30, does not shoot 30%.
You know
I'm
why?
I'm coming
Where's the
for your
house?
house,
Who's he
bro.
giving it to?
But you know why he said he's gonna give up his house, because he knows Obi ain't gonna shoot 38%. So he's gonna keep with that. You know what I mean? Pretty safe. All right. He ain't gonna shoot 38%.
Oh my God.
You know.
IQ?
Paris Douglas, why don't you say if he doesn't shoot 38%, you'll give up your house? How about that?
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
do that.
definitely. Let's move,
Right.
let's move on to the
Yo, that's crazy.
to the center position. Mitch, Obi, Noel, and however else we think the Knicks might address that position. Are we okay running it back if we re-sign Mitch and then have Sims as the backup? I personally think that's a pretty good, defensive tandem. I think offensively, both of them are still challenged, other than Dunks and Sims, unless he gets better. We're not even getting that, when he gets a offensive rebound. But are you okay running it back with those two, or your preference is to let Mitch go and look at other options? We're gonna go this way. We're gonna do Sim, Gavin,
Look at Tone face.
Tony, Crow, Mitch's uncle, godfather.
Tone want to go first and last. Yo.
I'm not happy bringing it back.
Okay.
I feel like we got to have a shooting center. At least
Okay.
one of them got to be a shooting center. You know what I mean? If we bring back Mitch, I'm cool with it. But then whoever's coming off the bench, I think needs to be a guy that can shoot. Because when we play teams like Utah with Rudy Gobert and he's blocking everything,
Right.
we have no way to get him out the paint.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
and then RJ is getting blocked. Randle can't do nothing down there because he's getting blocked. Nobody can score. Like
Right.
Rudy Gobert dominated the paint when we played the Utah Jazz the last time, and everybody was scared to do anything in the paint. If we had somebody that could spread the floor, get him out there on the perimeter, then we can open up the lanes for guys to drive. So I think we need to have at least one of our centers be a shooting center.
Right.
Now, Sim, I know you and Tone talked about Mitch and Miles Turner. Any concerns about having that much money tied up in the center position and them guys pretty much splitting time? Like, I kind of see it as a duplication because I think that Miles Turner can give us what Mitch gives us, that that rim protection with the scoring. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
I feel
I
like
think I think we can go with Miles Turner and Sims.
I mean, we probably can because Miles can post up. He can shoot the three. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but he can shoot it.
Right.
He leads the leagues in blocks, right? Like 2.8 blocks per game, or at least he's in the top 5 or something like that. So he's going to get blocks. He can protect the rim
He's led the league twice.
twice. He can score in the post. So he's not going to give you 20 a game. Probably, I don't think he's going to give you 20 a game. I know he had some complaints about that he thought he should have an expanded role in Indiana offensively, but he can give you different options. Even if he gives you the same amount of points, he gives you different options, I think. And I think that's good, just being able to have those different options out there on the floor besides the dunk. You know what I mean? Yeah,
And
I
you're not
do
scared
agree.
of, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do agree. He can give you, what Mitch gives you, but more offense. You know what I mean?
No doubt. And you're not scared off by the injury?
Nah. What was his injury?
I don't even know.
I think it's plantar fasciitis.
Plantar
Plantar
fasciitis.
Oh,
fasciitis.
okay.
For a
Okay.
big man.
I mean,
That's what I'm scared about. I was just about to ask you that question, Sim. I swear.
I mean, Mitch had a broken foot.
That is true too.
Amongst
But I don't
other
think
things.
I think it's different. I think it's different from
True.
his leg being broke than fasciitis.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Plantar fasciitis seems to come back all the time, right? Seems to always come back. Just kind of a nagging thing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, me and Tony was talking about the other day. We look at a lineup of Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Miles Turner. I think that's a pretty formidable lineup right there, and it's probably within the realm of what the Knicks can do. But
only thing about that, I think Miles Turner is a worse rebounder than Mitch, isn't he?
I think he averaged like 7.5 a game.
Yeah, that's nasty.
That's probably more minutes than Mitch, though.
Probably.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't look at it, but I know he got to be like in the 7 to 8 rebounds range. I would like my center to rebound more than that. To be
Double
honest.
digits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, if 6 of them are offensive, defensive rebounds, he's doing better than
Mitch.
he's doing better than
Because Mitch averaged like 8, but 6 of them are like offensive.
Right.
Yeah, but then you got Randle on the boards too. Randle be pulling down 10 to 15 boards also too. So Mitch hardly get any boards because if Mitch wasn't, if Randle wasn't there and Obi wasn't starting lineup, I think Mitch would get most of those boards if they were playing with it because you see Mitch be running out. So
yeah, the most he's averaging.
Not Mitch. Obi be running out. Right.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that either, Obi's rebound, and I think that's something that needs to improve as well. And I don't know if that means that he has to stay in there more and not leak out as much, or what it means. But I think the rebounding does need to get better. Right. Gavin, your thoughts on that center position?
Yeah, the two biggest concerns for me with Mitch is my biggest thing with giving him the money has always been the main thing is his injury history. Too many times the Knicks are giving players money and we can't even keep them for games. So Mitch just has a frail body, so 82 games trying to bang down there in the post. To me, I need to see it hold up a little bit more. I'm kind of cool with letting Mitch go if I'm getting somebody back that's giving me offensive production. In a center who can guard out on the perimeter. I think that's the biggest thing. As the NBA just naturally is becoming more stretched, I think that's a big liability and a hole in our defense. Is you see a lot of teams are just running the pick and roll and making Mitch switch out on the perimeter, and he's not a good perimeter defender because he's just not quick on his feet. My only thing is, realistically, who's out there for us to go get at the center position? Does anybody know?
I'm not sure. You know,
No matter
Aiton is restricted. The Knicks don't have the money to,
what,
you
it's
know,
got to be a trade.
right. It would need to be a trade. I'm not sure if Phoenix is giving him up. You know, is Miles Turner available? They got Isaiah Jackson over there.
Or we
They got
could
some young,
draft.
yeah, some young big guys over there, but they might try to make a run for the playoffs next year. So I don't know if Miles Turner would be
So
available.
to me, if I'm not getting somebody back who's giving me offensive production, I'm cool with bringing Mitch back. Because I think just the level of interior and rim protection he gives you, uh, is kind of unmatched now. It's hard to find at least people that are doing it at his level. And especially if you are letting him run with somebody, if IQ is getting the ball more and you're starting to hand the keys over to him, him and making the him and Mitch in the him and Mitch in the pick and roll, and him looking for the lob for Mitch opens up a lot. Um, I personally don't want to let go of Sims. I think that he has a lot of upside that has not been tapped into, thus far. And I think one of the biggest things that I appreciate about him is, for the most part, he showed this year is he has the ability to guard 1 through 5 on the perimeter. I think that's something that he did very well in the pick and roll game, in his limited small sample size. And to me, he was stronger than Mitch was down the post, dealing with bigger centers. He wasn't getting moved off his position a little, you know, as easily as Mitch. But I mean, if I'm not getting somebody back who I'm getting offensive production for, I'm cool with running it back with them.
Tony Robinson.
Yes, you already
Tony Robinson.
you already know I want Mitch back. I don't mind Sims back as well. I obviously I do like him. I think he has um high upside. I think he actually has a high basketball IQ. I don't know if a lot of people could see that in the small amount of time he's gotten, but I think he's gonna pick up fast. Um, but ultimately, no, Nerlens got to go, and I think that's where we could maybe look for, if it's not Turner, we could look for somebody maybe of a lesser degree that could put the ball on the floor, shoot the ball, and maybe bring them along slowly if they're not up to the level of a Sims yet. You know what I mean? But then if it is like a Miles Turner, then I think we could just bring Sims along slowly. Um, but ultimately, yeah, I'm from bringing Mitch back. Um, and to just to keep it 100, like, just don't lose him for nothing. That's my thing. You know what I mean? Like, you could have got something for him at the deadline. Don't lose him for nothing, because then to me that's a mishap on the front office.
Okay. Staffer.
Um, yeah, man. Look, I want the monster back, man. I definitely want Mitch back. But the only issue I have with Mitch is his free throws. Mitch has to
That's
make
true.
his free throws, because if you want the offense to run through you, bro, you got to make and hit your free throws. You understand what I'm saying? That's the only way you're gonna end up staying in the game even more longer, if you could hit your free throws. So, and then also too, once that goes up, I would like Tom Thibodeau to start running some more pick and rolls with him and RJ, because they had a good chemistry last year with a lot of alley oops, a lot of bounce passes to Mitch off of that pick. However they ran it, it was good. So if they could run that a little more, get him in, because you see, once Mitch gets involved in the offense more, in my opinion, I think he's more engaged. You know what I'm saying? You give him some alley oops. You look for him on the run also too. You know what I'm saying? Get him involved. So I'm definitely a big Mitch fan. I hope we bring him back. But if we don't and we keep our pick, I got two guys in the draft that I like. The young man from Memphis, I think his name is Duran, and then we have the other young man from Arizona. I think his name is Koloko. So I like both. I like both of those two centers, and I think the backup also too to Koloko. He's a good center too. So if you could get him also too, I don't mind. So I like those three guys in the draft. If we don't get somebody in return, or we don't get somebody else, we just draft one of those guys and maybe start Sims, right? And I definitely want to get rid of Noel. So yeah, that's my take on the center position.
I mean, I will say this: when Noel is healthy, he's pretty good. That the issue with him, I mean, let's not
Right.
sleep on how he played when Mitch was injured
True.
during our playoff season. He was pretty, he was pretty good for us. So the issue with him is just staying healthy. And with Sims um being here now, I think he probably is expendable. Yeah. Jarrell?
I agree with Sim. I think we need a center that can shoot at least a little bit. I don't dislike Mitch, but some of the stuff that he does, I need him to do more, especially on the offensive end. Um, defensive, defensively, he's fine, but I would like him to rebound more. I like Jericho Sims, but he's still raw. He can't shoot either. So I actually would like to get somebody else in here. At least we can replace Taj, if anybody. And I don't even count Noel anymore. I don't plan on him staying healthy. So I expect to get rid of him, or at least get rid of that contract somehow. I don't mind drafting a center, but we have Tibbs as our coach, so Taj might end up starting. So I don't want that. Yeah, I want somebody that can shoot. I don't dislike Mitch, but if Mitch leaves, I'm not crying. That's all.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
did want to point out too that 72 games this year, and the organization or the coach sat him down the stretch. So
That is true. That is true. I don't think Mitch was hurt. I think they just sat him.
you shooting under 50% from the free throw line. I'm wondering if down the
Right.
stretch that has something to do with it. I mean, it depends on which Mitch we talking about. I mean, I've seen Mitch play games where you like, wow, I don't care if he don't ever take a shot for the rest of his career. If
Mm-hmm.
he play on the defensive end like this, he does his,
Right.
he does his job. But he's just inconsistent. And listen, part of it, he came in raw already. He came out of high school. He was injured. It's possible that what we saw as flashes is
Mm-hmm.
his ceiling, and he's going to reach it, with more time. But we can't have him and Sims, I think. I just think if
Yeah.
we got to have one that can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So in a perfect world, it would be a healthy Miles Turner and Sims. I think that would be a nice combo at that center position. Um,
I'm about to say
if
Taj been
it's
hitting that three
Mitch,
last season.
right? If it's Mitch, who is there a backup center that can stretch the defense? I don't know. Because the same thing, if we ever get to this point, that's going on in Utah. That
Right.
Rudy Gobert, as great as he is on the defensive end, there's some times when he really needs to be out the game to give
Mm-hmm.
them a better chance of winning.
Yeah.
hey,
And
Oh,
I
Kelly
wouldn't
Kelly
mind.
Olynyk.
What's
Kelly
up?
Olynyk. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Kelly
mind.
Olynyk. Yeah.
I wouldn't
That's
mind
what
McGee
they.
either.
But is McGee
Uh,
a stretch? Would he? Does he? He doesn't stretch the floor though.
I mean, he can shoot it. He's not afraid to shoot it. It's not like his go to, but I think it gives us everything we have with Mitch. You know, defensively, he's not gonna. You know, he could block shots down low. I think he would fit in good. You know what I mean? And he's not gonna demand minutes, so you know he might get 15 tonight. He might get
Playing behind Mitch,
20.
you mean?
Yeah, he don't have to start. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be fine with his role on the team. You know what I mean? So I think he's a good guy that could fill in when needed. Will sit back and you know mentor when needed. You know what, similar to what Taj does. You know
Right.
what I mean?
You
He
would
don't know
prefer
when he's.
him over Sims though, backing up Mitch.
I would
Yeah.
prefer him. Yeah, and then Sims
Really?
can gradually grow into who he's gonna become. You know,
Yeah.
work the kinks out.
Okay.
Yeah, because my guy comes off the bench for Aiton anyway. And then when Aiton was injured, he started. So JaVale McGee, he's very durable. He could play the center position. I like him.
I think if we're gonna go McGee, I'd rather just draft somebody.
Me too.
To be honest,
Yeah.
if we're
Well,
gonna
that's
go
what I'm
that
saying.
route, I'd rather just draft somebody.
Look at this the center for Memphis, Durant.
Yeah,
I like him.
I like him
He
too.
is real good. The other guy from two guys that I mentioned from Arizona, I like those two. I don't know if they could shoot the 3-pointer shot, but I know they could play down low and they could rebound.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't mind. I wouldn't
yeah,
mind Kelly Olynyk.
yeah, I was about to say.
I wouldn't mind him. You know, I think he makes like $12.8 million next season, and then
Hmm.
12 million the season after that. So he
Not a
doesn't have a
bad pick.
crazy contract. There's a way you could, you know, as you're moving around contracts and you know, he's not a guy I think you go out and get right away. You know, you try to get your big guys first and then say, okay, now let's get a shooting center, and you might have to make some moves to get him. But um
To
I
play
think
behind Mitch?
to play behind Mitch, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Not as a
Yeah.
starter, to play
Oh, yeah.
behind Mitch. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. I think 12 is a little too steep for that backup position, no?
I think
Yeah, when
Now he
you get
could
McGee for a mid level,
Yeah,
or
because
you know what I mean, or a vet minimum.
right, if
But he
that's the
can't shoot like
you can't shoot.
Olynyk is
right,
skilled.
right.
I think that's the reason why he gets that. Because how many
Yeah.
shooting centers are there in the NBA? Lopez. I see Kareem Grant said Lopez.
That's who
How
I was.
many
Yeah.
centers that can shoot? I think that's why he's getting what he's getting.
I think what's his name, Junior from Memphis. He plays center. I think he could shoot the three also too. But you know, Memphis is not giving him up.
Yeah. And the
Um,
other thing about Olynyk and Stafford, and I'll get back to you, is not just his ability to stretch the floor. He has a great feel for the game. You
Yeah.
know, and his he has playmaking skills as well. And he played a few seasons in Miami, so he understands defensive concepts as well.
Yeah, Boston too. He played in Boston too.
Yeah, for a
Yeah.
shooter, I don't even need my center to shoot threes. I need him to shoot something.
I was just
It
about to
don't
say
have to be
that.
threes.
I was just
Kusevich
Threes, free
is another
throws,
center
something.
that
Yeah.
shoots threes.
Something.
and that's what I was gonna say, and that's kind of what Josh just said. You don't gotta shoot threes, but if you can give me a jump hook or a 10 to 12 footer is good enough for me. If you can
Right.
knock down that 10 to 12 footer, and that's something like Lopez does very well. You see Taj does that very well. If you could hit that down, you know, knock it down 5 to 6 times a game, right there, that's good enough.
Yeah, but is the coaching staff allowing him to shoot though? That's the thing, because we don't know if Mitch could shoot. We don't know if he does a jump hook. But the other point I was about to say, you notice when we feed Mitch, he's more into the game. He's more active. So we need to involve him in the offense a little more. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as I said, he needs to improve his free throws. Because if you don't, if you're gonna keep on getting fouled and we put you at the line, homie, and you're not
Right.
making them, it doesn't make any sense to keep you in the game.
Yeah. But
So
it makes it hard to involve him more when he can't do anything else, because all he can do is roll to the basket. And so once you cut that off, I mean, because you see him setting screens all the time. He's always setting screens and then rolling, setting screens and then rolling. But when teams pinch on the roll, the ball ends up getting passed over to, the open wing player or whatever.
Right.
And so it might look like he's not really involved, but he is. It's just that they're taking away the alley-oop.
Right.
yeah, but
And
we
then what
see
else can he
Mitch.
do? Yeah.
No,
Right.
but we
That's my
see Mitch
concern
put the
with
ball
Obi,
on the
too.
floor and did a crossover, so we know he got skills to take it to the basket. But is
Can
Tom
he do that
Thibodeau going to
consistently, though?
allow him to do that? That's the
Oh,
thing.
he can do that
You know
consistently.
what I'm
I
saying?
don't think he can do it consistently.
Let's
That's
just say that if he
yeah.
can do that consistently, we're
Yeah.
not going to keep Mitch because he's going to make too much money. If he can do that consistently.
If he can do
You know what I'm
that,
saying? Like, if he did that consistently, he's out of our price range.
If he can do that, we got to find the money. I mean, we can go
Yeah,
over
we
the
need to
cap
do
right on
something.
him.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think we can.
That's what I'm saying. So is the coaching staff limiting his game? Because we have a lot of other people that loves to touch the ball. Fournier, the
Yeah.
RJs, the Randalls. You know what I
If that's
mean?
the
So
case, if that is the case, then he's leaving anyway.
Yeah. Right.
He's not going to want to stay here
Right.
if we don't use him properly.
And you're stressing that free throw. I think that's the most important thing, because you get
Yeah.
that free throw to even 70%, then you might get the okay to shoot
Yeah.
a 12-footer, a 10-footer.
Right.
No,
We don't
that's a
even want you to
fact. That's
touch
a
the
fact.
ball until you get to 62%.
Right.
Yeah, but that's
for
they
real.
probably telling him, no, don't shoot. You know what I mean? Get your free throws up, and then we'll open up some more options for you.
Because Mitch was like under 50, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
49 point
Oh,
something.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be better.
I mean, we see times when Mitch gets the ball in like the elbow area, nobody's around him,
So I was just
and
about to
he
say.
doesn't even look to shoot. He's looking to hand the ball off, and I it's hard for me to say, if he was wide open, he shot it, that someone, coach was gonna be like, oh my gosh, you shot that, sit down. I mean, it's an open shot, it's wide open. He doesn't even
Right.
look to shoot it. I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's more Mitch.
I think so too. One of the things RJ said, and I don't know, this could be different for different players on the team, is that Tibbs, it seems like offensively, he just gives you the freedom to do whatever. Like he's not really trying to, stunt you on the offensive end. Defensively, though, that's a whole, that's another
That's the
story. So
same.
when you see Taj hitting threes, when you see Taj getting offensive rebounds and turning around jumpers, it's just hard for me to believe that Tibbs is going to say, Mitch, you can't do that.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. All right, any last words on that center position? So basically, what I'm hearing is I'm not hearing a lot of support for Sims. It's almost like we need to bring in somebody else to back up Mitch if Mitch is
Right.
back, and Sims need to wait his turn a little bit.
Yeah, because you can't have both.
Yeah.
Of them. You just can't have
I
both.
think
of them.
that's what it is. Wait his turn. Let him grow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Don't he? I mean, cream always rises, right? So if he
No
if he
doubt.
gets there, he'll be there. You know what I mean? But let's not force it.
So
Right.
TC, are we bringing back Noel if that's the case?
No.
I think Noel's got to go, and I was one of the few supporters of him. It was me saying, "Hey, look what he did for us
But
the
what if he's
previous
healthy
year."
though? You still feel the same?
I mean, how long he gonna be healthy? If you, like, that's the thing. Like,
I mean,
is he gonna? If somebody's guaranteeing 65, 70 games and up, then yeah, you know what I mean. I like what he could do, but I don't know what happened this year to. It was like he had like 3 comebacks. Oh, he's back for a game. Out again. Oh, he's back. Out again. It was like Frank Ntilikina at the center position.
Mm. Mm.
All right. Any last words on the power forward, the center position? If you want to throw something in there, let me just ask one more question before we get out of here. Ero made a good point on the Queen's Court yesterday. He said that we can run this team back, and it's not. It's more about how the talent is used. That there's talent on the roster, whether you play Obi and Randle together. And when I talked about IQ, he said it's basketball. Sure, IQ when he's running with Randle and RJ, he's not going to be the same. You know, however, he knows how to play basketball. He knows he can't play the same way he would play when those guys are out. It's just basketball. You can run this team back, and as long as you do things differently, they can have success. You agree or disagree with that?
I mean, when it comes to that, like it's all on Tibbs, right?
Right.
So even whether you want Tibbs here or not, you just have to ask yourself, is he going to change anything? And if not, then you have your answer. Like, I don't think, to me personally, I don't think Tibbs is going to change. So if we do run it back with the exact same players, I expect our offense and our defense to be played the exact same way. Now, if Julius Randle is back, it all depends on his attitude, whether we win games or not. That was a huge focus point for us losing this past season. It wasn't all on Tibbs, but when it comes to anybody playing different, if it's the same team, Tibbs is going to coach the same way. I don't see him changing anything.
So the results are going to be similar. I mean, depending on if the players don't.
Yeah, it's the players, like their attitudes. Yeah. Mostly Julius Randle if he stays.
Yeah. I actually think a lot of people talk about the way you use the players, and sometimes the way that you use the players is based on the player's skill set and what the players can do. So if you have a team that you don't have a bunch of two-way players, then you might struggle with your rotations trying to figure out a lineup on that night that's going to give you enough defense and enough offense, because you don't got two-way players all the way around, and so that can become difficult to figure that out, and you're gonna make a ton of mistakes when you're trying to figure that out. If we ran it back with the same squad, how much do you change how you play? I think they were trying to go a different way at the end of the year. Randle had the ball less in his hands. They were focusing a little bit more on RJ. So that would marinate a little bit more if they continued to play that way. So I think you did start to see some change. Now, if everyone's healthy, right? If Derrick Rose plays 60 games and Nerlens Noel played 65 games, this season could look really different, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I think having those two guys healthy, I can say those two guys give the Knicks 8 more wins. Right? 8 more wins on this even if they gave them 5 more wins on this basketball team, the Knicks have a winning record for the season.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think if they brought this team back, you would have to, everyone would have to be healthy, and you could probably compete for a playing spot with this team. I think you could. You know what I'm saying? I don't think everyone's coming back. I think there's definitely going to be changes, because there's just some fundamental things about, as you go on with players and you see them play, you learn more about their psyche, right? And their psyche plays into the basketball game. And I think the Knicks have learned more about Julius Randle and his psyche, right? And they learn more about what the team needs. But that's part of building too, right? But I think they learn more about what the team needs as far as, leadership out there on the floor, who can get it done down the stretch, and those type of things. You know what I mean? If you brought back the same team, I think they can compete for a play-in. But how much better do they get? Maybe a little bit better. Because they have more chemistry offensively and defensively. But you got to add pieces, though.
Okay.
You got to add some pieces to this team.
Okay, so it's more than just Tibbs doing things differently. We need more pieces.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment before we get out of here?
I would like to run it back, but I don't want Kemba as point guard.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking. He wasn't even on the team. He wasn't even on the team. I wasn't even thinking about
we
him.
still got him for one more year. We don't know if we're going to waive him. We don't know if we're going to. We don't know.
We know on Kemba's forehead and
we know
Kemba's
gone.
Man. He gone,
Even
man.
if Tip is on the team,
That's true.
he's gone.
He's
Trust me.
gone.
All right, all right,
Even if
all
he's
right.
on
So
the team,
if
he's gone.
all right, so if we run it back and everybody's healthy, and let's just say Jalen Brunson just so happened to come in, I think we can be a uh, let's say play into 7th seed.
Wow.
I think we could sneak in somewhere up there. I think we're better than Charlotte. I honestly do. I think I think I think JB got lucky, man. I think I like Evan Mobley. Nothing personal against him. Nothing personal against Garland. I just feel that I just feel that we're better than Cleveland, and we just had a down year. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
Be careful. I got attacked saying that early in the year.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I mean, I look. I think we could run it back, man. I think we could run it back and at least I say 7 to 10. But Tibbs has to deal with his rotations a little better. I know most of the discussions is about Tibbs, you know what I mean, and his rotations. And I believe if he gets that right, allocate the minutes between Obi and Randle properly, not have Burks in as point guard, stop with that crap. And let me see again. And yeah, man, just run a tight shift, man. If you see a player that's messing up, take him out and put in the next player. You know what I mean? And go with the hot hand. So you know, I like the team that we have. We could do a little tweaking, you know. I think we could probably get another wing. You know, and
Well, we not running it back now. Stop. We got a new wing. We got a point guard.
I know, right?
we
You got three new starters.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's give Reddish a chance. So, you know what I mean? So, okay. So I want to see Reddish. I want to see Reddish play some more. So, you know what I mean? Let's give him a chance and see what he could do on the wing. You know what I mean? So, and yeah, and give some of these younger guys a little more spot minutes. You know, the Grimes. You know, the Sims. If he happened to play and Noel go down, you know. So don't wait until the end of the season to embarrass yourself and say, I should have played the kids more often. So that's my thing. Go ahead, Sim.
Yeah. You mentioned Burks. I'm gonna tell you guys why Alec Burks was playing that position. If you go to NBA Court Optics, right, and they rank the top 20 pressure on the ball handler, right? Average pressure on the ball handler. And Alec Burks is ranked 14.
Wow.
Right. So, I mean, you know, the average on-ball defensive pressure score, Davion Mitchell was 74.6. And that was number one. Alec Burks, 71.9. That was 14. Matisse Thybulle was 20 at 71.2. You know,
I didn't even know they had a stat like that.
Yeah, it's in NBA Core Optics. You know, I was checking it out the other day. You know, that's probably the reason why. You know, everyone's going to look at it, you know, and say, well, you know, he was getting broken down by this guy and that guy, and, you know, he didn't do this, that, and the third. You know, but, you know, sometimes some of those things, obviously, you know, you have the eye test, but some of those things tell a little bit of a different story. But that's why he did it for the, you know.
But I need it to be optional, but not for the whole season.
I get it.
Number 3. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
It's so funny.
I was going to say that somebody might could argue that McBride can do that next year.
Maybe he could. Maybe he could.
Just that aspect. I'm not talking about on the offensive end, just defense.
Right. Maybe he
could.
Just saying,
spot minutes.
It's funny when Tim kept saying
why he did that.
Yeah.
It's funny
Go ahead,
because
Tony.
Tibbs kept saying he's the best guy that we have for the to play the role. And everybody's like, where is he getting this
That one
opinion
stat.
from? Like, what stat is he
Tibbs is looking at that one stat.
looking at?
He probably was.
Sim found a stat.
He
I
was
mean,
looking at that.
That's
but you
crazy.
think about
That's
it,
crazy.
our offensive rating ended up at 11.
Right.
At one point in the season, we was like 20, I believe, or something like that. So the defense did get better, and maybe that was a big part of it. You know, that keeping people out of the lane, that's a big part of your defense. Once they get in the
Yes.
lane, now it starts break down. Now you in rotation. It's really hard to have a good defense that way. And I think that's what Alfred Payton. If you can look up last year, Alfred Payton was probably 6.
Nah,
You
see,
know,
we not doing this. Y'all not. No, we can't do this. Hey, yo, Sim would get the only stat that was in Alex Burke's favor all season.
but what I'm saying is, this is what Tibbs looks at because he talks about team stats and how a team plays together and things like that's what he's weak on by the eye.
Yeah, true.
And not for nothing, it's probably a optical thing for Tibbs anyway. He probably don't even gotta look at no analytics. He probably calculate that
Right.
joint in his head.
And that's
You
why we
know what I
gotta
mean?
keep
Like,
watching. We gotta watch the game.
yeah, we gotta watch
3
it 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
All right. Anyway, I appreciate y'all coming on for this. I'll be going on Tuesdays at 9. Of course, still doing the Queen's Court Mondays between 8 and 9, and the crossover with my guy Tony Crow on
TC.
Wednesdays. We have
Tomato.
a show. I appreciate Sim, the MBK fam. Grateful forever. You know,
Yes.
any other last words before we out of here? And thank you for the chat, chilling with us. I was about to say I am Jabal. He right here. Big Mike,
Yeah, I was in the chat and up
AM.
here.
I don't know if that's 3,000. D School 718. Paris Duggar, Obi's uncle in the house, rock with us for the entire show. Shop Powers, appreciate all of you. It's me. Anybody I forgot, I appreciate you.
Queen, you might as well
That's
do
it.
5 more minutes and get the full 2 hours.
I know, right?
Nah, I'm
I'm just joking. I know this is a record for you.
I know.
I know.
And I'm really trying to get my time right. I got to be like Josh. Josh is able to do a 60-minute show. I'm trying to do like a 75 to 90 max. And I just haven't been able to.
It's hard.
I mean,
Yeah, I
when
just
you
haven't
got
been
great
able.
when you got great panelists, you know.
Yeah, and the conversation is flowing. You know, it's kind of hard to be like, you know what, we about to stop it right here.
Right.
But anyway,
It's
I
always a
appreciate
blessing, Queen. Give thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for
Much
inviting
love
me.
and respect. Much love and respect.
Yeah,
Yes.
no doubt.
Thank you.
No doubt. You're very welcome. All right, we out of here, family. Peace.